How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
yes, this is another Lost Heroes of the Golden Age, and we are going to
What is it you think you're doing?
we're gonna cover a Lost Hero of the Golden Age. You just said that
Why are you doing this review now?
because we review Lost Heroes.
You said we were doing Timely in June.
We are going to be doing timely characters in June. I just decided to start a little early.
It's the beginning of April.
Okay, so I decided to start really early. I was excited to get into the timely characters, and I really didn't feel like waiting another month, so I figured we'd start right now.
You're gonna run out of heroes.
Run out of heroes from Timely Comics? No. We have there are way more characters than just 2 months worth. In fact, this format could go on for quite a while. There are even more characters in the early days of Timely Comics than I've even reviewed in my top 20 Timely list. Trust me, there's plenty of characters.
There really is no help for you. You know that.
Well, we're still going to be doing them in June. But, like I said, I'm excited about doing this. Now, yeah, I don't cover timely characters very often because I don't like covering characters who are still making an impact in the comic books today. I covered this thing with Red Raven. If the characters appear in the comic books today and they change their past, their whole biography changes, and then whatever you tell might not be current to the character, or they're adding in new stuff and you're not talking about it, so your information can be out of date. Now, Marvel Comics likes bringing back the characters they own from yesteryear. The Human Torch appears every now and then. They brought back the Blazing Skull, the Blonde Phantom. I mean, Captain America and Namor are still in the comic books today, and yeah, they appeared in the Golden Age. So, with the timely characters, we're just going to cover their origin stories, because even if they do a retelling or a revamping or updating the origin stories, the original origin stories are still the same. So, we're going to cover the original origin story of Jim Hammond, the Human Torch. Now, you may have seen a retelling or a revitalization, but we're going to go after the original story. It's not a short one. This is a little bit lengthy, but it perfectly encapsulates what they wanted to do with this character and how they were going to move with this character going forward. And I think it was more popular than they even expected it to be. If it wasn't for the fall of the superheroes that occurred in the late 40s, early 50s, where detective and cowboy stories started taking over, there's no telling how far this character could have been going on today, much like other DC characters that had appeared at the same time. So let's go ahead and get into this origin story of the original Human Torch. The Human Torch, Jim Hammond, first appeared in Marvel Comics number 1 in 1939. The publication at the time would be Timely Comics, created by Carl Burgess. He was the writer and the artist. Now, the Human Torch, this version of the Human Torch is not as popular in modern Marvel, even though he pops up from time to time. He was more famous more popular in time that he showed up. Now, in his first appearance, he wasn't even given the name, and Toro, the sidekick who we normally associate with the Human Torch, wouldn't appear until a little bit later in the Human Torch number 2. I don't know why it started with number 2, but this shows you the popularity of the Human Torch. Not only was he appearing in, right after the first appearance of Marvel Comics, it would be rebranded Marvel Mystery. Not only was he appearing in Marvel Mystery Comics, he was appearing in his own self-titled comic too, which shows you the popularity of this character. Nothing like the Human Torch had ever been done before. People have had control of the elements, but never actually have been the elements, which is what he was with the fire. And then, he would later inspire the Human Torch in modern Marvel. Now, he is not as popular now. I mean, back in the days, well, if you read the Invader comic book of the 70s, they were pretty much kind of going over the way the Human Torch appeared in the Golden Age as part of the All-Winter Squadron, teaming up with Captain America and Namor. So that was the team up back then, the All-Winter Squadron, which it wasn't just the Human Torch, Toro, Namor, and Captain America, but that's what most people remember him from, is from the Invaders. But he did have a bit of popularity back then, and he appears every now and again. He has been responsible for a couple of the story beats in modern Marvel, but I mean, people who know who he is, they get a kick out of seeing him, even though he doesn't have the same kind of presence that he does today. Now, they have mentioned two partners, as I've mentioned, Toro and Sun Girl. Now, I have reviewed Sun Girl from the Lost Heroes, one of the Lost Heroes. You can go back and see that. She didn't make as much of an impression as being a sidekick as Toro did, because I don't believe she had any powers. Now, there are a couple things that the Human Torch was able to do. He was able to fly. He could throw fireballs, and he can control the intensity of his heat. He couldn't do those at first. He needed a control substance to help him to achieve that, which we'll get into. Now, I did cover the first appearance, so you can see basically what they wanted to do with this character, and where the character potentially, well, I don't even have to say the potential of him. The appearances of Jim Hammond speaks for himself. He's still seen today in modern Marvel, not as much as he used to. He's appeared in the West Coast Avengers, Secret Avengers. His part of the Legion of the Unliving was actually humorous. I guess he's been part of the Heroes for Hire. He's been here and there. Not the staying presence that he had back in the Golden Age, but he does appear. So let's go ahead and cover his original origin story, which is different from some of the modern retellings. Jim Hammond's story has been retold a number of times. The basic concept has stayed the same, but they've retold it in ways to either kind of modernize it a little bit, or wanting to do a retelling that seemed to be more fluid than when he originally appeared. Not saying that it's not more fluid, but it definitely could use a polish, which is what they've given it over the years. So I've said it a couple times. Without further ado, let's get into his original origin story. The Human Torch by Carl Burgess. We start off with these three gentlemen in a room. Gentlemen of the press, I called you to my laboratory because I, Professor Horton, have a difficult problem in my latest discovery. Well, we've just established who everybody is real quickly. Now, he tells them that he has been working on making he doesn't say robotic man, he says a synthetic man that looks just like a human being. He says that he does have a slight problem, so he brings him to the lab and says that he's calling him the Human Torch. And the reason why is because something went wrong with my figuring somewhere. That's very scientific. Every time the robot, the Human Torch, well, now you're calling him a robot. He's either a robot or a synthetic man. The Human Torch contacts oxygen in the air. He bursts into flame. Watch now. And he shows that the Human Torch is in an airtight container, so he's not ignited yet. But he lets air into the container, and then he starts to set on fire. Now, the press want him to destroy this guy. I mean, Yeah, he doesn't have control over it, but I mean, he's a scientist. It doesn't mean that he won't. But since he decides not to destroy it, they say that they're going to use the power of the press to change his mind. And this is really interesting. It says, within the hour, newbies are on the street with an extra. So within an hour's time, they printed out a newspaper and got it to the street corner guys. Is that how it worked back in 1939? I didn't know you could do something like that quickly. Well, then it says, this is a really weird one. Hello, yes, this is Horton. Who is this? The Scientist Guild. Do scientists have a guild? Anyways, they show up later that night and they start going over the Human Torch with the professor, and they realize that the heat that he is putting off is a massive amount of heat. Good Lord, the hands of the meters have already gone off the dials, and this is with him just now igniting. So they realize that he is too dangerous to just be, loose on the world or anything. So he agrees with the scientist that he's not going to destroy him, but he's going to contain him. So he puts him in this airtight capsule and gets this giant concrete structure built, and he plunges them in there. Let's see. As the tube hits the wet cement mixture and sinks, Horton makes a vow to find the solution to contain the flame. Now over here it says, time went by and everybody had forgotten about the fireman. He's the Human Torch, you've already said this. Until one early morning there was a terrifying blast and the earth split open. Now, they haven't said how much time has gone by, and they said that everybody has forgotten. They said until everybody had forgotten. But a remarkable number of people know and are familiar with the Human Torch, so that statement is incorrect. Okay, so the windows of Horton's nearby home were shattered to bits. If you were containing something that was that dangerous, why would you have it contained so close to your house? Anyways, with the blast, he automatically realizes that it must have come from the Human Torch tomb, which he says Human Torch. And now we see the Human Torch running through the city, and apparently he blazed the man on fire because there's also fire coming from his hat. So we can assume this guy is dead. Considering how they said how hot he is, I would imagine that being this close to people is killing them. We see this telephone pole on fire, cracking in half apparently. At least that's what it looks like. So then the fire brigade shows up, and they think that if they can hook up the hoses and douse him, they can put him out. And this is where we get the first ideas that he can talk. So he's not like an android bereft of intelligence. He has something. So they're spraying him. Ha ha, stop, it tickles. And he manages to step on the hose and automatically breaks it right away with his flames. So, the water seemed to be working at first, but with the hose busted, he ignites into flames again. So he's running down the street, and he says he needs to find a way to minimize damages. He comes to a property and sees a pool. So he melts the iron bars. Those iron bars can't stop me. And he dives into a pool. And I guess it's working for the most part. So meanwhile, in the house of the estate with the pool, this, I don't know if he's a bodyguard or just a second in command, sees the Human Torch diving into the pool. And automatically, he knows how to stop the Human Torch. Now listen, get the winter glass cover. Why would you have glass for winter? That fits the pool. Draw the air out, then drain the water out. Hurry. Don't ask any questions. How did you draw the air out? I mean, it's a pool. It's not a scientific staging area. Oh, well, they get all the air out of there, and it's the Human Torch. Now, since he's an android, he obviously doesn't know how to breathe. He doesn't need to breathe, so it's not a problem being in an airtight area. And he says that he is going to use the Human Torch for $1 million racket. And they're going to get into a fire scheme with businesses. They'll threaten to burn down the businesses if they don't cooperate. And he's like, do you think he'll work for us? If you read the papers, you'll know that he starts burning as soon as he hits air. Do you get it now? So what we're going to be led to believe is they'll get the Human Torch into a building, and if they're not paid protection money, they're gonna set him off, which is what he ends up doing. Okay, anyway, he goes to the company and he says, pay me for protection, or you're not going to have any of your warehouse left. And the owner actually gets up and literally throws him out, which you won't see it nowadays. They'll have security. So, angry about being discarded, he fills the pool back up with water, and then he goes down with an airtight container so he can contain the Human Torch. Now, the Torch believes that Sardo is actually going to help him. I mean, why would he have any indication? Why would he think otherwise? Every indication shows that he's trying to do something. So they take the glass container and they go to the warehouse. Let's see. What did he call the company? The Ackman Company. Almost like Acme. The Ackman Company. So they take the Human Torch into the building and set up the glass tube. And from a distance, Sardo throws something at the tank, the glass container, to break it open. Now, immediately, the whole place sets on fire. And then we get a glimpse of the intelligence of the Human Torch here. I'm confused. I don't understand. I thought Sardo was trying to help me. I don't know when you heard his name, but I'll just go with that. Now, he realizes that he's setting this place up like a box of matches. That's it. All right, that's it. He must be else. He brings me here and breaks the cover. I wonder if he might be just a low-down racketeer. That's it. That must be. Else, why else would he let me loose in his tinderbox? So he's relatively intelligent. Got a good state of mind about him. And he realizes that Sardo is using him as a racketeering scheme. Pay protection scheme. So he tries to get out of this area and is getting a little bit of a glimpse of what he can do. Even with the Human Torch is surprised as his leap turns out to be a flight through space. The reason was that the blue flame and combined red flames made the Human Torch lighter than air. And surprised by his own abilities, he goes towards Sardo Estate. Sardo, seeing the Human Torch, knows what he's in for. So he immediately retreats into his facility and slams the door shut. Human Torch is undaunted and goes right through the door. So Sardo is afraid for his life. So he runs to his secret laboratory. He'll never get me there. The walls are made of 12-inch battleship chromium steel plates. Sardo runs to his secret underground laboratory. Now, as the Human Torch is walking around and setting this whole house ablaze, looking for Sardo as he goes, ha 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 ha. It was easy to burn Sardo's home to the ground. You're a little bit of a sadist, aren't you? So Sardo's henchmen leave the area and try to get out of the compound, but the Human Torch is hot on their tails. A couple of them dive into the pool, and one goes under the car. This gets really sadistic right here. So with the one guy under the car, he jumps on it. Jumping through space like a comet, the Human Torch lands in the car and melts the body as if it were made of butter. So he melts the car and kills the guy under it. Help! The heat's killing me. The heat is terrific, and under the auto, that rat's burned. You see, a little sadistic. All right, and those poor fellas in the pool won't come up for air now for Sardo. The Human Torch having scalded the gangsters in the pool by turning the water to steam. So he pretty much uses his heat to kill the guy under the car, and kills the other gangsters with scalding water. He gets to the door and he says, you think this will stop me? And then just walks right through the door like it wasn't even there. Now, Sardo is attempting to bring the torch under control, starts throwing gases at him, bottles of liquid, and they're immediately burning off before they even reach him. And then it says the Human Torch laughs and bids Sardo to watch him as he picks up a bomb. Instantly it melts. Okay, I'm just gonna, okay. So he's getting ready to throw this big vat of liquid at the Human Torch, and then they hear the clanging of the fire bells. If they're in the fire truck, if they're in an underground laboratory, that are 12-inch steel plates, how are they hearing the clanging of a fire truck? I don't know if you're familiar with the fire trucks of the 30s, but they weren't very loud. So I don't know how they hear them. Anyways, Horton tries to run right into the fire. Don't go in there, you'll be blown to bits. I have to get the nitrogen tank. And then for some reason, the Human Torch is up on ground level to grab the nitrogen tank. They were just underground. Continuity error aside, he grabs the tank before it explodes, and the nitrogen gas shoots up into the air, while Horton's eyes pop with amazement. It's incredible. If I hadn't seen it, and then there is the Human Torch standing amongst the blaze, not on fire. So the fire chief shoots him. This will be a better world without you, Mr. Torch. Now, the torch is still incredibly hot, even though he's not in a blaze, and the bullet melts before it reaches him. The lead pellet melts as it lands between the eyes. Now, I had the same issue when I covered Fireball. You're melting the bullet. That's all well and good. But even when the bullet melts, it's still liquid metal flying at you at the speed that the bullet was going. I don't think the bullet slows down. So I don't think it's going to just harmlessly bounce off of your head. But he's also an android, so maybe it was still going that speed. It wouldn't hurt him. Okay, so he goes back over to Horton, and Sardo, and Sardo is surprised. He's back. But what's this? His flame is out. Why? There was that tank of nitrogen upstairs. Could that have been that? It has possibilities. So the Human Torch is ignited again, and Sardo tries to make a deal with him. Let me go, and I'll give you this nitrogen tank. So he grabs the nitrogen tank and throws off, and Sardo, releases it. You're hot enough to burn through 12-inch steel doors. That tank should be blown up right now. Anyways, he fends off Sardo, and he's like, you rat, you should have thought of that before you decided to make a gloat for your rat, only don't burn me. Oh, you should have thought about that before you made me a goat for your racket. Goat for your racket. Okay, it's 1939. Anyways, he sets this table and all of the laboratory ablaze, basically. So Sardo picks up a thing of sulfuric acid, throws it at the torch, and it blows up and kills him. The poor fool killed by his own hand. Now, it says grabbing an insulated tank of nitrogen, the only gas that will control his flame, the torch walks out of the burning lab. How did you get it into an insulated... Well, you said it's an insulated tank. You should have burned through that already. I mean, the way your heat is going... Okay, maybe he's getting some semblance of control at this point. Anyways, he grabs the nitrogen tank and he walks into the fire and he ignites the tank. It works. I can now control the flame without the nitro. Okay, you can control the flame now. So he's throwing this like, good Lord, I can throw the flame as if it were a ball. So he's now controlling the flames so that he doesn't have to kill people when he gets close to them. Now he sees a car following him and he speeds off at an incredible rate, not realizing it's the police. The other police have been alerted, so he gets way ahead of the car, but when he turns the corner, he's like, oh, hey, I didn't realize you were the police. I would have stopped if I did. So he turns the flame off and he's like, you can take me. My body's cold. That's great. Okay, and we come up to the last page here. He is sitting before a judge, and he's like, Torch, you've committed the most dastardly crime, burning the warehouse and then proceeding to destroy Sardo's estate. Why? Doesn't say anything about the henchman or the guy that he killed. All right. I mean, he killed people, but they were worried about the buildings that got burned down. So he explains that Sardo tried to make him part of the racketeering scheme, and he didn't mean to burn down the warehouse, but he did mean to take out Sardo and his men. Captain, leave the torch in my custody. I'll be responsible. Okay, no, okay, I thought he was before a judge. He's before a chief police. Thing of reading it too quickly. I see a guy high up on a bench. I assume he's a judge. So the chief lets Horton take the torch. He's like, he'll probably just burn down the jail anyways. So as they get back, he shows Horton that he has control of his flames now. So he goes, how's that, Prof? That's amazing. I'm going to read these last couple of pages. That's amazing. We can make a fortune. Then, as a further example of his control, the torch snaps his flame on and off. So, even you've been touched by the possibility of fortune in me, Horton? No, Horton. I'll be free, and no one will ever use me for selfish gain or crime. Putting on the flame, he gestures at the ceiling in a circular motion. The ceiling's burning! Crash! And with a laugh and a mighty leap crashing through the unburnt opening in the roof, the torch sails through space like a comet. Next month, another Human Torch picture action story. It's a comic book. All right. Picture action story. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this is exactly what you were thinking when I said we were going to cover timely characters. Yes, I did decide to start a little early. I was really excited to get it into this. And I have a couple of names that people have given me to put on the list. And we're going to cover a lot more of those in April. So if you want to see a timely character that we can start covering in June, go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment section. We can put them on the list. There's lots to choose from. There's lots of heroes that you may not know or don't really know much about, especially with the characters of the All-Winter Squadron. So, like I said, I hope you like this video. I really hope you leave me a comment and that we can make the Timely Month a success in a format that we could do again sometime in the future. So, until next time, I'll be seeing you.